And we are live. Well, welcome very much to Lunchtime with Kathleen and Emily. I am Emily Bolton. I am a CPA and certified tax coach. I am a co-host with Kathleen Packard. Kathleen?
Hi, and I'm Kathleen Packard, and I am a salon owner, cosmetologist, and I market online.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we are two serial business owners, and today we really wanted to continue a conversation that we started yesterday, Kathleen, as regards to a recent survey that was conducted by the University of Phoenix School of Business to determine interest in having your own business. And their results were that 50% of working adults want to own, either do own or want to own their own business. That is like pretty amazing.
It is, and can you blame people? I mean, that's what gives people freedom. That's what lets them really address their own self-worth and where their true interest lies. So I'm not surprised that that study is that high. Now, the next thing is, are the people willing to do what it takes to do that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. The fact of the matter is I'm just thrilled that there is so much interest. You and we've started up I've got a couple of businesses, and you have yourself and your history and your husband as well. So there's got to be something to it that that's good, or why would we could keep continuing to do this? And I think the dissatisfaction perhaps that a number of people have in their lives is making them somewhat, wishful or considering how glamorous or how nice or whatever it might be to have your own business, without perhaps always thinking of some of the more challenging aspects of having your own business. So I think you're right there.
And I think another thing that might be coming into play now is that, and I'm just kind of throwing this out there, is people, we have come through a society or a time where we have a lot. And another thing doesn't really satisfy that inner need. It may for the moment when you purchase something or whatever, but after a few days or another month goes by, there's still that unfulfilled need that we all have to leave our mark, leave something, a legacy behind. And I think that people are truly looking for what is their purpose. What is it that will give them the most joy in life? And being robots and just reacting day after day, going through the same routine, the same schedule, maybe it's beginning not to give people that good feeling anymore.
Well, I think you're onto something, because I was reading a book last night, and in it there was a discussion of consumerism since the 1950s and the increase in consumerism. Actually, the happiness of the population has gone down. So while consumerism has risen and conveniences have risen, things that are supposed to free us and give us more time, if you will, more pleasure, if you will, has a correlation with a decrease in happiness. So something that I haven't had a chance to really reflect on that much, but that's certainly speaking volumes.
Well, I think about when my husband and I have redone a couple of homes, and it's a lot of work, but there's so much self-satisfaction to have learned how to do something and to stand back and look and say, I accomplished that. It wasn't about the buying, it was about the doing.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Oh, you are so on to something because I myself have, really revamped two homes, but I actually did study some architecture just on the side, and I bought some software. It was called 3D Home Architect. So this was way back before you really had what so much internet access we have nowadays. So this was back before that. So I think it was like 99 or so. But wow, and I actually general contracted building a house. So I designed my own house, and then I general contracted. I had a great builder, and I did all that research, and it's so gratifying to learn. I think so many of us entrepreneurs, we are lifetime learners. We love to learn, and we love to build, and we love to grow. And so you are absolutely right. I was reading an article preparing for this, the whys. Why do people get into business for themselves? And you just you just like nailed it, because one of them is to reinvent ourselves. Because getting into business or being an adult and we're in our careers, what have you, we come to determine or find out there's something about ourselves that we really like and want to pursue more. And being able to go into business and then direct yourself into what it is you want to do more. And hey, you know and I know that once you get into business for yourself, there's so much you have to learn. But when you go and you start questing after learning that, there is that gratification. But also, you can discover, as many of us have, we actually like something more. More than what our primary thing, maybe more than what we went to college for, maybe more than what we've done in our whole careers. And now all of a sudden we're like, oh my God, I want to do this, and you go off in another direction, and you say, hey, I'm happy.
And isn't that the truth? I think about going back to the home scenario. There are things that you learn to do, and you go, oh yeah. And then you come across those tasks just like you do in business. Sanding the sheetrock is not a fun task. It's
Oh
messy,
no.
it's dirty, and it's tiring. And it's monotonous going back over the seams and all of that. But it's the gratification that once that first coat of paint goes on and you stand back and you go, oh, this is nice. And the fact that you learn and you persevered through the dirty part, the part that wasn't fun, but you kept on going, you didn't quit. And I think that's one of the things that, you come across those things in business.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you hear that with people all the time. They've discovered that, maybe they never thought they could be a writer. Let's just say writing, because I hear this one on occasion, and maybe even coming out of my own mouth now. But, and now you need to write. You need good copy, so you're learning about copy. You're getting sort of excited over here because now you're reading articles, you're checking in with professionals, people that really know how to write good copy. You're starting to follow it, track it, and snitch a little of it here and there, and then realizing, wow, that this is so fulfilling, and that's what it is. It's so fulfilling because when you have a little piece, say a post or a blog, and or an email that you sent off with your autoresponder, what have you, and you sit back and you look at that, especially if there's a result. Somebody leaves a comment, somebody, clicks on your button and you get a sale. They like the copy. It's so gratifying, and I think that that's what people are looking for. I think that in part is maybe not when they start out, they may not know that,
Right.
but I think when they get in there, I think that's what many of us find. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And, I think that, like you say, there are going to be parts that we experience resistance. It's like the writing. It's like, I don't want to do this. This is hard. But if you hang with it and you keep going, eventually you're going to come out the other side. You're going to see that light at the end of the tunnel. And then you're going to wonder, just like the first time you sat down at a computer and you spent 3 hours to find the any key. And it's like you wonder, why did it take you so long?
Yeah.
But it's, I think about my kids when they were, young, and try to get them to clean their room, and they would resist. And I kept saying, if you just go do it, it would be over with, and you could go do whatever you wanted. Well, this is the same. We play this game all through life, I think, even with ourselves as adults, is, wow, this is just so hard. I don't want to do this. I'm not a writer. And, there are certain parts of business that we all resist.
It's true. It is true. And so there does take that self-discipline, and I think that there are perhaps some people that will not go into business for themselves, even if they have that interest. They may not do that because they say to themselves, or they believe, I don't have the self-discipline for it. I don't have the self-motivation. And it's good to know yourself, because having your own business, the buck stops with you. If you don't do the work, the business doesn't get built, the income doesn't come in, or, God forbid, you brought on clients or whatever already, and you're not servicing them well, and just God forbid that were to happen, right?
Right, and it is about creating new habits, and if you're not sure, test those out ahead of time before going into business. If you've got some things that you need to work on, see if you can make changes. Pick something and make a change. And then if you can, that you will be able to. If you're determined enough, you can make those changes within yourself.
Yeah,
Once you start to believe, and you get other people believing in you, when you find a team that will believe in you, that begins to lift you up, and then you begin to believe more in yourself, maybe just a little bit. And then the next day it might be a little bit more. But, I think that's really, really, it isn't that you can't, it's that you've got to be willing.
Yeah, that is a great tip about taking one habit at a time and just kind of testing the waters. Can I do that? That is one of the common pieces of advice that we often give to people, is that don't quit your day job until you get this one established, because it does, in most cases, it takes some time to build the business. Time where you're investing in the business before the business is really returning sufficient income to live off of. Now, that's not always true. I absolutely know that. I have clients that just, can really, they've already sort of lined up clients, or they lined up business ahead of time, and they can hit the ground running. But the fact of the matter is, that's really good advice. One habit at a time. Or build your business slowly on a part-time basis. Just get in. And that is one of the reasons why, if you're going to consider building a business, going into business on your own, you want to be able to, one, establish it as a business. One of the number one reasons that people think they need to do it, well, obviously it's finances is oftentimes driving people, but taxes is the other big one. That's coming from the CPA in me, but that is real. People hear that there are tax advantages, and is having their own business a good thing? I get that question all the time, and the answer is absolutely, absolutely. There are great tax advantages to having your own business. And for overall wealth accumulation, I highly recommend people have their own business. I particularly like it from the standpoint that one of the things, as you know, I love to do is help people create what I call deductible lifestyles. So enjoy life and follow something that will allow you to essentially switch what was a personal expense, a non-deductible expense, and then have it become a business expense and become a deductible expense. So overall, you save, you keep more in your pocket. You're spending those monies anyway, but now they're, business expenses, and they're deductible. That saves on taxes, that keeps money in your pocket, and that makes you wealthier. So I love that keep your wealth. And along that line, so for me, as you know, I have one affiliate marketing company I'm involved with you, as a matter of fact. And, you know, it is Wake Up Now. And it is specifically because of the financial wellness, but also the business establishment, in the sense that, one, I can get a client into a proper record-keeping format for a business. When we talk about a part-time business, keep the day job, do this on the side, you can run them up with the taxes. You know, IRS is going to sit back and kind of take a position that that's possibly a hobby, not because of the way you're investing and you haven't had the money coming in yet, and you have these losses, and over a period of time, the IRS would want to take a position that will limit your deductibility. But having business structure set up properly secures those deductions. So it's just so interwoven, but establishing that business well. So when you talk about one habit at a time, and I mentioned something like do it, you know, as a keep the day job and do this on the side, again, you're taking those kinds of steps that will ensure success, or ensure that as you enter into it mindfully with a plan, that you can discern as you step forward if this is something that really is consistent with what you want. Because you may find out, like, what, 80% of businesses that don't get past that fifth year or so, it isn't what you wanted. So by starting out small, by, you know, tackling it one aspect, and one of the hard ones for people, they love the tax advantages, they do it for that financial wealth keeping aspect, but there is bookkeeping. You know, you have to have that. That is why, start there. Start there. That is a great, absolute, perfect starting point. You get the feel of having a business established, what it's going to require. You have it very low cost, and you have all the tax, you know, format situated. So I think it's a great base and a way to ease into it for those people that haven't ventured into business for themselves.
Oh, absolutely, and it's helping build that foundation. And so many people think that their why when they come, you know, want to go into business for themselves is money. But in reality, that's not it at all. I mean, money is energy that absolutely you need to get to where you're going. But most of the time, it's because they really want to satisfy some underlying purpose.
Yes.
And I think that looking, you know, whatever that could be for many people, it's different. Some people want to just that freedom to move about and to travel. Some want to be home with their kids. You know, whatever it might be for anybody, some have this talent that they've had for years and have not developed it, not to the point that they were put here to develop it for. And you know, to really look beyond the money part, the money will come. The money always comes if you do the right thing. And if you stay true to who you are, and you know what your purpose is, you don't ever have to worry about the money. And you know, to Emily's point is, you know, when you start this out and creating those new habits, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You don't have to do this overnight. You don't have to, you know, set any world records. It will come, and you'll pick up the pace as you begin to get comfortable and as you begin to believe in yourself. And I just think that, you know, I always go back to build that foundation. Emily's point is so good about, you know, start with that financial part, you know where you're at right from the get-go so you don't get yourself into trouble.
Yeah, I always have to start there. So they don't come to me at the end of the year with a whole bag full of material.
Oh,
Like,
which is a nightmare.
I gotta show you. I'm working on a tax return right now, and the guy brings it in this duffel bag. I'm like, oh, here, you need this product. I want you in TaxBot where I just get a sheet of paper.
Right. And it is so simple. It doesn't have to be difficult. And, you know, that's a habit that you want to learn right from the get-go, is to be keeping track of your expenses, what you're spending out, what you're bringing in, and it only takes a minute to record that in something as simple as TaxBot.
Oh,
so,
yeah, and also, Kathleen, I'll tell you, this client, you know, this sounds cruel and awful, but, you know, he is going to pay for that. Well,
that's far more dearly than if he'd have taken and recorded it.
You know, I hate to say that because it's not all about the money. You know me, you know that that's so true. But the fact of the matter is, he didn't take the time to do his bookkeeping and his record keeping properly. So he passed that on to me. So essentially now he's paying a professional to go through his checking account, go through his receipts, you know, get the stuff all pulled together. You know, he's got to pay for that, versus having some good software, a good way to do it, and just putting a little bit of time into it, and actually you manage your business better.
That's a discipline also. That's a habit. At the end of the day, just take a few minutes. And it become overwhelming.
Oh, yeah, and you know, we just met the other day, once again, second time meeting with him, because I had so many questions, because he thought everything was in that bag. Well, not everything was in that bag, and one of the things that was absolutely missing from the bag was any mileage numbers for his business. So the fact of the matter is, now he has no mileage numbers. He's got to go back. He's got to try to recreate that. And you know, he's just like, you know, forget it. I don't want to do that. Just forget it. You know, and in the past, he's had $2,500 write-offs, give or take, you know, for mileage. So he, at this point, doesn't want to deal with it. When you know, he could have been tracking it. That's one of the beauties of TaxBot. That's why we like it so much. Is that, you know, you just kind of start that GPS when you get in the car, and you know, you can hit it to be round trip. You can hit it when you know, get to where you're going and stop it, and you've just tracked your mileage, and making it so easy, and then you just print the report, and your accountant gets that, and you know, she's a lot happier, and you don't lose thousands of dollars of deductions. And you know, depending on what your tax bracket is, that can add up to serious dollars, especially, you know, if you're also talking about you know, self-employment income, because there's another 15.3% of every dollar you don't take off, which is why I am such, and I'm known for being so creative relative to deductions and strategies to minimize taxes. I mean, that's certified tax coach. That's our thing going. But yeah, unfortunately, this fella isn't managing his expenses. He's not operating his business as you know, as tightly as a business ought to. So that will hurt him when he comes to do, you know, if he were to have an audit situation, because that's one of the factors that is looked at. Should there, particularly if there's a hobby loss issue at hand, they'll look to say, do you operate this as a true business? And not keeping records is a huge setback. Not having a separate checking account, huge setback. You know, not tracking your mileage, that's another huge one. So yeah, it's unfortunate. That's why, you know, I really do recommend that people keep it simple from the get-go. And I want to encourage people to get into business, because I really do want them to have all the blessings and all the benefits and the financial wealth. And as we keep talking, all the fun, you know, all the enjoyment, all the fulfillment that comes from having your own business. But some of that joy, some of the rewards can get knocked down quite a few notches when you don't, when it's too difficult, when there's too much work or effort involved. So, the aggravation this gentleman is feeling, that takes away from his joy. That takes away from his fun. And it doesn't have to be that way with a simple financial solution. And there's many out there. We happen to be associated one that we both know is great. So, it's very easy for me to encourage my clients to look at this as a means to just tightening up their returns, tightening up their businesses.
Oh, absolutely. And it is. It's one of the key components of having a business. And you don't want to come to the end of the year and, the tragedy is if you do make money, people think, oh, you got all this money. And they don't think about putting a portion away to take care of their taxes. Oh. And, it's that thing of learning to live with where you were at and until you get solidified in your business.
Yeah.
You know exactly where you're at, what you owe, and don't. I think another fear that people have with business is the taxes. It's like, I don't want to pay taxes. Well, if you're earning so much more money and you have to pay some of it in, that's better than not having that money.
I have heard that wacky. I have heard that wacky statement. Oh, I wouldn't want to be in business for myself and make that kind of money because then I'd have to pay taxes. I just don't get that logic because there's so much more money.
Benefits. It's just managing it so that you don't get that surprise at the end of the year.
Oh, absolutely. And with good control, with good planning, there's no need. Right. With good planning, you can definitely address the tax issues. There's so many deductions. It's just a matter of knowing what they are and taking advantage of them. But most of that does require being proactive. You really do most of these strategies, you really need to know what they are, and you need to document them properly. You need to establish it in advance, have it set up properly. But the savings can be quite significant. I'll just tell you offhand that the average for a certified tax coach, my professional group, we take surveys periodically as regards to the tax savings that we're reaping for our clients, and our average as a group is $15,000 a year that we're able to save entrepreneurs and businesses and investors, real estate investors. So all those clients, $15,000 a year, but that does mean some proactive planning that needs to go into it. So it's really a shame that people don't take advantage of consulting with professionals before they find themselves at the end of the year and not having set things up properly. So yeah, that's very, very unfortunate that does happen. So that's a good nugget for people to take from this hangout that we're having is to kind of come into this kind of one step at a time, one habit at a time, part-time if you're looking at it like that. Establish it right from the get-go in terms of a business operation, in terms of the record keeping, because the tax benefits are great, and have those secured so you don't lose those, which you could, in an audit situation. You definitely will if you don't document it. So get set up first. Get a feel for how that does feel, so that that lessens the chance that you'll be one of the 80% of the businesses that fail because you weren't well prepared, because you didn't understand what you were getting involved in. And that is one way, and there are so many ways where you can do that in an easier way, low cost, low risk. There's a lot of opportunities to starting a business without all the significant overhead and challenges that people have known in the past. But I see we are running a little over, so we are going to need to wrap this up, my dear.
We are, and I think my final words for today are: don't fear it. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. Um, you know, just take the proper steps, build the foundation, and you'll be on your way.
Excellent. Well, peace, everyone.
Have a great day.